Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar on how nCino is revolutionizing the future of banking with Informatica Cloud. My name is Nick Piet, Product Manager here at Informatica. With me, I have Mark Wood, the Director of Data Integration Services at nCino. Today, we'll be talking about three specific things. We'll open up with some Q&A at the end, but kind of talk about the challenges that we're seeing in the banking area, why Informatica for those types of things, and then hand it over to Mark to really talk about the journey nCino has gone through using Informatica Cloud to enrich their services. Right, so one of the things that we've kind of, more now than ever, the types of services that banking are using are becoming commoditized, and really that means then the focus on the customer experience is key to that success. We're finding that more often than not, every piece of information that is being discovered and collected about this type of customer experiences is really helping drive innovation within business as well as IT itself, which can often then be stifled by the types of outdated core IT systems that might exist today, as they're just either not capable of handling the new types of volume or data sources, or even just types of data that are coming through. We've spent some time with our analysts as well trying to better understand this challenge and finding that, hold on a sec, looks like it jumped two. So when it comes to the opportunities that the financial services industry is finding in that type of situation, we're finding that implementing these new technologies coupled with the differentiating through the services that are available to the customers is ultimately the greatest opportunity the financial services industry has within 2016. When we started to ask specifically what was this type of issue and what were the biggest challenges with implementing new technologies, we found that of the customers that we surveyed, roughly 64% of them had challenges with collecting, connecting, or even relating the types of different data that they were having to use within the enterprise. And now, at first glance, that might not seem like a really difficult challenge, but when you start looking at the types of situations that are occurring with regards to, and hold on a second, there we go. Oop. There we go. So when you start looking at the types of challenges of onboarding that data, right? The initial data load, high volume, lots of data, but then as this starts to go live and more information comes in, potentially either through additional data sources or through the common data sources that you have, you can start seeing duplicates or inaccurate reporting. Then you start looking at cleansing, adding more different types of data sources, exposing this data to very different types of areas. And you can see that what looked like a very simple data integration project starts to become more complex in terms of the types of data, where the data is going, and how you start accessing the data. Now, data itself isn't just the only challenge that exists through this. Oftentimes what we're seeing is that when looking at data integration as a whole, it's a much more comprehensive request other than just how do I collect the data. You start looking at how do I validate it, how can I actually put some processes and coordinate around the types of data sources that I'm looking at. And as I'm looking at this data, how can I actually take it to that next level and identify the relationships that exist within it to help me really maximize the type of information that we're collecting through our customers. Now, specifically to just this data integration piece and why many of our customers are looking is that when it comes time to figure out that connectivity, aggregation, collection challenge, customers are looking to embed Informatica Cloud because it's the #1 integration as a service that's existing in the market today. We have over 22% of the market share, over 4,500 customers. We're looking at 300 billion transactions per month, and that's just growing. We have over 25,000 citizen integrators, which are using these ease of use tools, which we provide to help really empower that next generation of data integration for financial services. Now, I've spent the last 5 minutes talking about this specifically, but I'd like to pass the ball over to Mark, who can talk about a specific use case that he was able to implement over at nCino. Mark, take it away.
Thanks, Nick. I appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar this afternoon. My name is Mark Wood. As Nick said, I'm the Director of Data Integration Services here at nCino. And first off, I just want to talk a little bit about nCino. Who are we, and kind of where have we come from? We're about a 4-year-old company, and I think one of the key things that really sets us apart in software vendors in the financial services space is we were built by bankers for bankers. So we service the financial services industry, banks, credit unions, from tiny de novo banks all the way up to some of the largest enterprise banks in the country. We have over 120 customers, from very tiny to some of the largest enterprise customers in the country, and we're currently sitting around 230 plus employees, and that number is changing almost daily. In fact, to the point that our new hires are coming in very quickly. In terms of our number of customers, we're in a very rapid growth market right now, where we've signed over 50 financial institutions over the past 2 years. When it comes to really our mission here at nCino, our mission is to transform financial services through innovation, reputation, and speed. And within that, we've been able to capture a certain segment of the market, and we continue to work to service that section of the market. So let me talk a little bit about the nCino solution, the nCino Bank Operating System. We are a secure cloud-based solution built on top of Salesforce, and our bank operating system empowers the bank employees and their leaders with true insight into the bank through an end-to-end solution where we combine not only CRM that we get natively with Salesforce, but also loan origination, workflow, enterprise content management, reporting capabilities, mobile, tablet, all of those things with analytics. We also integrate with any number of banking cores, transactional systems, and really for our clients, any of those external systems that the bank needs and that they require to help drive their business case. When it comes to the return on the investment, we help to drive revenue, growth, and efficiency. In fact, to the point that we have some of our clients who have actually given us a dollar amount for every day that they shave off the closing of a commercial loan. So when you think about the loan origination workflow and you think about a return on investment where a client can give you a dollar amount for every day that they're able to close that commercial loan, small business loan more quickly, there is power in that messaging. There's very real, tangible return on investment when you have those kinds of numbers. We also help our customers expand their customer relationships, being built on top of Salesforce, Salesforce being a native CRM application. Financial institutions are looking at consolidating systems. The more systems, the more vendors you have, the more spread out, the more maintenance, the tougher it becomes to handle all of that data. So when it comes to your customers, expanding and driving those relationships, having it all in one spot within the Salesforce app definitely helps to return on your investment. We also drive ROI with improving your regulatory compliance to the point that we're actually able to, our customers, what they do in the past when they would go through a regulatory audit, There's weeks, months of preparing for these audits, gathering information, pulling documents together, pulling committees together, all kinds of information that your auditors are going to need, where our customers now, much of this information, they're able to go and literally provide a Salesforce login, a special auditor login that has the appropriate permissions and the appropriate rights. They provide that login to the auditor. They log in, the auditor logs in, and they're able to quickly find what they need to complete their audit. So from a return on investment, the amount of spend on finding that data, on rounding up that data, meetings, etc., is now reduced down to, here you go, Mr. Auditor, go log in. When it comes to return on investment by data analytics, having all the data in the nCino bank operating system built on top of Salesforce, plugging in data, we're able to rapidly and effectively begin to crunch numbers. We're able to provide a meaningful set of information so that our customers are able to make an informed decision, whether that's on their loan underwriting, whether that's on opening a net new deposit, or really any other business process or any other bank decision. Having that data integrated into one single platform genuinely provides you a place to help pull together the data analytics. So let's look a little bit at the technology solution. And I want to talk a little bit about what type of data do we handle. We deal with financial services. We deal with banks and credit unions. We utilize Informatica to help pull and push data in and out of our platform. We've also built an integration framework. We also leverage the Salesforce APIs, whether it's the native APIs, whether it's the REST APIs, whether it's the bulk processing APIs. So within the combination of what Salesforce provides us also with the integration framework that we've developed, we're able to push and pull data to and from our system that helps give us that information, as I mentioned a minute ago, for giving us data analytics that gives us that one view that we're looking for, that our customers are looking for. So let me talk a little bit about what we were looking for when it came to an ETL partner, the needs of nCino. One of the needs we had was high volume. We have over 100 customers, and that is rapidly climbing. When you have that number of customers, when you have implementations at a high level, you need to know that your partner, your ETL vendor, your technology is able to handle that high volume of customers. We were also looking for a managed service. Being on top of Salesforce, being an OEM vendor of Salesforce as well, having a managed platform like we do, it only made sense, and it really was our business requirement to also go down the path with an ETL partner that was a managed service. Another one of our critical needs was it needed to be Salesforce friendly. How comfortable was our integration team? How comfortable was our integration tool with integrating directly into Salesforce? The number of customers we had, we wanted it to be a multi-tenant cloud solution. Again, from a volume, from a maintenance standpoint, very critical. Supportable. Everything seems to come back to the number and the volume of customers we had, but having a a technology that we're rolling out across all of our customers that our support team had access to, that our customers could even have access to, that we also had development access to, was critical. Looking out over the horizon, we knew we were in the process of building real-time integrations from our platform into external systems. So being able to rapidly create integrations both in real time and in batch was a very key need of ours. We were not at a point where we wanted to have to go in and spend enormous amount of time with every customer. We're looking for something that we could rapidly create mappings and integrations into third-party systems. And then finally, we needed to know that security was high on the radar, that security was a priority. Dealing with financial institutions, dealing with PII, very critical that security was front and center of any solution we were looking at. So just kind of looking at our evolution as we started working through ETL tools, integration partners. From the very beginning, we initially, with our platform rolling out on top of Salesforce, we initially started loading data with the data loader, the native Salesforce tools. We quickly realized that's not enough. And as most small startup software vendors do, we came out with our own homegrown solution. Well, that quickly became unscalable. It was just not easy to scale that in terms of the resources we were putting on building that, our roadmap, where we were going, the challenges that we were facing. So we quickly then started looking around. We ended up going with Informatica Cloud Services. And then more recently, we have evolved and we have looked at, we had a need for real-time integrations, point-to-point integrations, event-driven integrations, and that's where we ended up going with Informatica Cloud Real-Time, ICRT. So when we look at some of the key challenges we faced throughout this process, connectors. As we built the data loader, as we then moved into the homegrown solution, as we went through the homegrown solution, building out connectors to many different systems was absolutely a challenge. Having to write the code for the different databases, for Salesforce, for any number of flat files, for XML files, just managing that was absolutely a challenge. Our deployment model, the number of customers we had, rolling out our homegrown solution was very difficult because it was really on premise. It was on a server at the financial institution. It just was not scalable. Had we had a couple of customers, 2 or 3 customers, that's fine. But in a large volume scenario like where we're at, that was not really possible. Speed. As we were building out our own solution, being able to go in and build our own ETL-like mapping language was very difficult versus being able to look at an Informatica Cloud Services, not only with the meta language, but the UI to help drive and drag things across. It was absolutely critical in our challenges. And then upgrading. Having on-premise, having single point implementations, upgrading customers was absolutely a challenge when we were looking at building it versus buying it, looking at Informatica Cloud. And then the final piece here of our evolution was the number of customers we have. One of the things that is critical to our customer base is actually being able to customize. One of the number one one of the number one customers questions we get during the implementation, actually during the pre-sales process, is how do you integrate? What do you use to integrate? How are you going to integrate with my core? So being flexible, being able to customize mappings and integrations in a quick manner was absolutely a challenge that we had that helped drive our decision points. So let's look a little bit closer at our solution, how we here at nCino utilize Informatica Cloud, and then in a second I'm going to talk about Informatica Cloud real time. So we are, one of the things that really makes us unique, I think that sets us apart is we are exclusively cloud. We are not a customer that went through the Power Center ranks. We're newer than that. We actually came on board pretty early in the Informatica Cloud rollout and development. So we have Power Center experience. However, we've never really rolled out any Power Center. We've been exclusively on the cloud. In terms of what makes us unique, I think that's, as we've spoken with other Informatica customers, that's one of the things that's made us unique. We haven't met too many other customers of Informatica that exclusively have been on cloud. We are an OEM vendor. So looking at the number of customers we have, being an OEM vendor, we're actually set up in the master suborg setup. So if you're not familiar with that, what we end up having is an nCino master org, and then we drive all of our customers into child orgs, or these suborgs. And from there, what that allows us to do is it gives us the ability to manage all of those orgs. It gives us all of our customers' orgs, these child orgs, and it gives us transparency of what is going on in each one of those master orgs, where if we didn't have this parent-child set up, we would have individual orgs at a flat structure all across the board. When it comes to how we are leveraging ICS uniquely, one of the things that was very key to our success, a relatively new feature, there's a couple of relatively new features that have been very key for us, and that has been the bundles. The bundle feature, what it's done is it's allowed us to wrap up individual and groupings of mappings into private bundles. And from there, we're able to version those bundles and deploy them across our suborgs. So from our master org, we're able to take these bundles, version them, and deploy them into our suborgs. And I've got a slide here in a second that'll go into more detail kind of around our philosophy around that. But those bundles have allowed us to really scale in terms of the custom mappings, the standard mappings that we have as well. The other piece to the bundles that has been very key, and really this is less bundle, that we're using on the mapping configuration tasks, we're actually using the parameterization. We heavily parameterize our mappings that are rolled up into these bundles. And what that allows us to do is it allows us to externalize custom features, custom configurations for each one of our mappings that we roll out. And we've been through a number of iterations throughout our bundles and throughout our mappings that have really helped us to fine-tune that process. So let's look a little bit more at, what did we really gain by doing this? The number of customers, the master suborgs that we roll out. Our goal with our batch mappings, with our ICS mappings, was really to take all these different batch files that we're loading a lot of batch files, and run them through what we consider a factory. And really that ultimately the factory ends up being our words for the bundles, the base, those base mappings. So we're able to take a number of different mappers using, for each customer, a number of different data sources, whether it's a database, flat files, whatever those data sources are. And we're able to basically take all of those, roll them through, and we actually run them through what we call preprocessors, but they're basically custom mappings to get them into what we consider our standard bundle format. And what that's been able to do is it's given us the ability to speed up the deployment. It's given us the ability to really hide and contain our complex and our more complex logic. It's also given us the ability to reduce the skill set that we absolutely have to have starting off with our ETL mappers. By bundling and by externalizing these parameters, we're able to more quickly build that factory, and we're able to roll them out. But ultimately, my team, they almost get tired of me saying this, but ultimately, we're looking for sustainable, we're looking for scalable, we're looking for supportable, and we're looking for very simple mapping. So by using the bundles, by wrapping them into a factory, and by externalizing anything doesn't fit into that mapping, by using parameters, we're able to rapidly roll out batch mappings, integrations with vendors, with our customers as we move forward. So let me look into our next evolution, which is Informatica Cloud Real-Time, ICRT. Our basic need was we needed point-in-time, event-driven, real-time integration from within our nCino platform on Salesforce into any number of external sources. And so what we've done is we're really targeting building what we call out-of-the-box or off-the-shelf integrations. And what we've done is we've externalized common sets of features. So as you see on the diagram here, we've externalized, really credit messaging out of our nCino platform and externalize it into a middleware piece where we can start building these off-the-shelf integrations where we can then build out to the vendor and their API at that point. What that allows us to do is it allows us to pull it out into middleware, abstract our integrations, our true integrations outside of our platform, so we can run on a different delivery process, a different implementation process. But it also allows us to more rapidly build these integrations in a configurable way using common processes. So within that middleware, within our ICRT solution, what we have done is we've actually built some common ICRT processes. We've actually built some common ICRT processes that catch the request out of nCino, and then those processes interrogate what it's for, who it's for, and then we start branching out into these different vendor APIs. Now, one of the things that we're still working on with our ICRT solution is we're still working on our best practice for actually wrapping these up and deploying them, and that's something that my team is absolutely pushing the boundary on and working very closely with our Informatica team. But when it comes to that actual middleware, the processes, common processes that we're able to build out, common logic, common error handling, anything common, we're doing our best to wrap those up so that we can reuse bits and pieces, proper development. So in terms of what we've gained, I really look at, from the ICRT standpoint, very tangible and very intangible benefits there from our standpoint. Connectors. I mentioned connectors a minute ago. It becomes a common theme when you talk about having to maintain your own connector to a Salesforce or an SAS or a suite or somebody like that. Maintaining and managing those connectors are just very key. When it comes to retry logic is something that is critical when it comes to building out your point solution, your event-driven solutions, and being able to orchestrate that very quickly is very beneficial. When it comes to error handling, we're able to build out common processes around our error handling that help to speed up our implementation and really help ultimately end up helping our customers. The orchestration piece. We primarily use the process designer. We do not as heavily use the process developer. We have used process developer, but we primarily use process designer. When it comes to some of the intangibles, again, being a cloud solution with our platform, having already been on ICS, ICRT being a cloud solution, being married in with ICS was really a big benefit. We did our homework. We looked at other vendors, and ultimately we came back to this is the right solution for our business. It's integrated. It's all in one. Much like ICS, simple troubleshooting, having the UI, having the troubleshooting capabilities built into the ICRT platform was very key for us. And I think going back to much like our ICS, ICRT, we're actually writing less true code here, which gives us the ability to hire a different skill set. Clearly, we have some senior developers that are working through this, but long term, when we really get into a true rollout factory with our off-the-shelf integrations built on ICRT, we will be able to use a slightly different skill set. And then the ultimate goal here was speed to market with ICRT. So when you look at the primary nCino benefits, I continue to say connectors. Connectors were key. We struggled with that up front when we were building it ourselves. Very, very similar. The rapid deployment, very critical for us. Scalable. We are at 100 plus customers. We plan to be much larger than that over the next couple of years. How is this going to scale? And it has proven to scale very well. Supportable. Giving our customers, giving our support team the ability to come in and take a look at this, getting an email when a batch job doesn't run properly, being able to go in and look at a common dashboard, very, very valuable. And then another benefit we have here is really the name recognition. Informatica, I always refer to Informatica as the gorilla in the market. Having Informatica as a partner walking into a customer is nothing but good. And then I think one of the biggest benefits that we have seen from using ICS and ICRT is really it allows us to have more business focus. It allows us to focus less on very small, very technical details, and it really allows us to focus more on what does my customer need? How do I drive value for my customer? When it comes to customer primary benefits, one of the things that our customers have really benefited from is the customization. When we were looking at originally our initial data loads, we were forcing our customers to be in a very rigid format. Well, by using Informatica Cloud Services, ICRT, we're actually much more able to customize, not just across the board, but at a granular customer level. It's really given us a leg up in the market. We talk about, from a customer standpoint, it's also a lower cost of ownership. By being able to implement the solution more quickly, we're able to turn around a much better implementation, a much better experience with our customers. They have less work on their side, and we're able to turn that around more quickly. From a customer standpoint, they have transparency. We actually provide our customers with logins to ICS. Even though we provide it as a managed service primarily, we still let our customers log in and take a look at it. And then when it comes to most of our customers, we're actually loading batch files into the system. It gives our customers the ability to be very flexible when it comes to loading batch files and really creating those batch files. Creating batch files from systems for some of our smaller institutions sometimes is a difficult task. So with that, I'm going to take a look at, and I know I've got a few questions up here.
So, Mark, one of the questions that came in for nCino was, could you elaborate more on the rapid solution / mapping designs with real-time? Any examples or implementations that you might be able to speak about?
Exactly. So when it comes to the real-time integrations and the mapping, the rapid solution, so being financial services, working with credit and loan origination, I'll use the example of getting a credit score. So if you think about reaching out and pulling a credit score from Equifax or Experian, who is all over the news right now. There are commercials everywhere. But the same basic functionality, same basic request information from our product is in place. Hey, here's this customer, here's this small business. Go reach out to this credit vendor and pull back a credit score. And this is a very simple example. But every credit vendor has a different API. So, what we're able to do is have common process. We've built our own connection from our nCino platform into our ICRT middleware. So really, when we go in and start to build that next integration to the next credit vendor, everything's taken place. All we do is basically start a new project, look at, if this is the TransUnion API or the Experian API, all we're doing now is basically looking at that API. We started a new project, and basically now we just start taking the request, the data object that we've received from our product. We're just taking that and mapping it into those fields, into those request formats for whatever vendor that is. So, we don't have to go in and rebuild a connection on one side or rebuild a connection on the other side. It really is truly a mapping exercise at that point. We've externalized, or we've made common logic around our error handling, really our workflow, if you will. And so we've got it down to some pretty basic building blocks. So, really any of our developers can go in and then create that.
Perfect. Thank you. We had another question come in about, can we do a quick demo on these bundles with the time that we have allotted left? I don't believe we'll be able to do that, but look at our YouTube page in the next coming weeks. We'll make sure we get a video up that explains how to use our REST APIs as well as bundling to help your master suborgs implement these types of functionalities. And then one was a question around the presentation. We will look afterwards about exposing this information to the viewers that were available. Is there any other questions? All right, well, with that, then, we'd like to thank everyone for their time today, listening to Mark and I talk about Informatica and nCino. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to your local reps or us directly. And with that, we'd like to close out this presentation and have a good rest of the day. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you all.